In this video, we make our way up to the Thousand Islands region. Our first stop is the historic Crystal Restaurant. It's been in business since 1925, operating ever since, and it's boasted as Watertown's oldest restaurant. And after breakfast, we make our way around the public square and head over to the historic Paddock Arcade, where when I was a kid, they used to have a popcorn shop here, and man, did the caramels smell amazing. After wandering around downtown at the public square, we decided to head off to Thompson Park. We checked out the brand new pool, it's beautiful, and then we headed across the parking lot to the zoo.
That's what happens when you're bigger than your older sibling. I'm gonna ask for big that card.
I grew up not too far away from the park, so I spent a lot of time here as a kid in the 80s, but boy, have things changed. The zoo was beautiful, we had a really good time, the animals were active, but we didn't do a lot of filming. We spent some good quality family time together, and then the storm rolled in, and man, was it a storm. We do have a treacherous storm coming in. Tornado warnings at the moment. We're going to hunker down here at the hotel. We rode the storm out in the safety of our hotel, and we're glad we did because there were reports of a tornado a couple of towns over. So we just went to bed, got up the next day, and started fresh. We made our way down to the St. Lawrence River in the beautiful Thousand Islands region. I love this place. It's just breathtakingly beautiful. We spent the entire day on a boat that we had rented, and here you'll see just some of the beautiful landscape and the picturesque areas that we were at. I tell you, I could stay here forever. I love it. It's just a beautiful place. If you've never visited, take a look at the rest of this video. You'll see how gorgeous it is, and maybe one day you'll make your way here. This is why I love coming here. This area is just stunningly beautiful. Look at the landscape behind me. And this is a little cut through that's bringing us out into Eel Bay. I love it. Jack.
What?
You'll see a common theme throughout this video. Like, I love these little islands, and I love these boats that are up here. So the focus will be on the islands, the landscape, and the boats that are here. I could stay here forever and just kind of check this stuff out. I really do love it. And this is Captain Carson, my 12-year-old son who recently got his boating license, so we took advantage and let him tool us around the islands. And this is my 17-year-old son Jack and his beautiful mom. And this is the Wesley Island State Campground, where they allow rustic camping, and you can see these people have a beautiful campsite set up right on the edge of the water. And it is worth mentioning that the Wellesley Island Campground is the largest campground in the area, but make sure you book it early because it does fill up fast. It is a full-service campground, and it's got everything you need. I mentioned earlier that you were going to see a lot of boats in this video. If you happen to see a boat that you recognize, the year, the make, the model, leave a comment down below. If you happen to recognize a boat and you know the owner, make sure that you share this video with them. This is also something that's very common you'll see. These little tiny islands with little tiny houses on them, and then you'll see these big multi-million-dollar houses. I'm telling you, the Thousand Islands is a playground for everybody. It is a working river, so you do have to look out for commercial vessels, both large and small. This stunner of a house is located on the Canadian side of the river, but what stood out to us is the large piece of property that it's on and how well maintained and landscaped it is. I think it's right next door to Peck's Marina. There are marinas all over this place up and down the river, and they are just full of big, beautiful boats. But one of the other things you got to look out for here on this river is these shoals. Look at this. These things pop up all over the place. For the most part, they're pretty well marked, but you got to look out for them. This is another one of my favorite places on the river. you just come back in through here and through all these little islands, and you see these little houses, and you see how well maintained everything is. It's just beautiful. This is the part that's just before a very narrow S-turn kind of channel that's marked. You got to go slow through it, unlike this guy. But it's beautiful. You come through this S-type channel, and it pops you out right at the Thousand Islands Bridge. So you'll see the tower in the background, and then you see the expansion part of the bridge. It's very, very beautiful through here. And let's go take a closer look. So a little bit about the Thousand Islands Bridge, what I've learned. I've been crossing this bridge for 40 plus years or more. It is about 8.5 miles long from start to finish when it crosses over the islands. It's 150 feet tall. It was built in 1938, I think, and it had some revisions in the 50s. But it's a international bridge, and it's under the control of the United States government, and it connects Ontario to upstate New York. And it is breathtakingly beautiful. I knew as a kid crossing over the bridge. It's where I got my first glimpse down at the Thousand Islands, and I knew one day when I grew up, I'd be back up here in a boat tooling around these islands on my own. Another popular sight that you'll see here are tour boats. They are everywhere. They run all the time. They're reasonably affordable. I've been on them myself. It's a great guided tour if you're a first-time visitor to the islands. I highly recommend that you jump on one of these tour boats. It doesn't matter which one. They're all wonderful and great. They got great tour guides, and they all tool you around the beautiful places. I even rented one of these houseboats one time when I was up here. And just be aware that these houseboats are extremely dated on the inside, and there's really only one game in town that's doing the rentals. I mean, we did have a good time. We made the best of it, but just be aware of that if you're renting one. For the next several minutes, just sit back and relax as we float around the islands near the bridge. Then you can take in the beauty of the place for yourself. addition to being very relaxing, there's always something new to see around every corner. But remember, as you're sightseeing, you've got to keep your eyes on the water. You got to be on the lookout for these shoals, which are seemingly almost everywhere. Check out this very modern home, and then look what he has perched atop of this bluff, a personal landing pad for his helicopter. We certainly enjoy boating around the area, but I imagine flying overhead must be an amazing sight as well. This is one of my favorite places up here in the Thousand Islands as we take this little cut through over to Lake of the Isles. It's really pretty through here. We discovered this cut through over to the Lake of the Isles on our last visit here, and we just thought it was pretty neat. It's a super narrow channel, and it's very shallow. You have to be careful, making sure that you stay off the left side of the shore and off the right side of the shore. It's a lot of rocks. You can really do some damage to your prop if you're not careful here. Plus, there's a current. It doesn't look like it here, but when you're going at a no-wake speed, it makes it a little bit more difficult to manage the control of the boat.
This is so narrow, so you don't do it just right through here. There's no room over here.
If you take a look here, you can see the rocks that I'm talking about and how shallow it is. But you can also see how clear the water is.
This one's the current.
And if you look closely, you'll see a couple of fish swim by. Even though the channel is narrow with a current, there's still room enough for a couple of boats to squeak through. This shortcut spits us out into the Lake of the Isles, which in itself is an absolutely beautiful body of water. It's a lake inside the river that's protected on all three sides with one way in and one way out, except for that little cut through we showed you. We found a spot over here, this little bay, that became a perfect spot for catching largemouth bass. And yes, that's a travel trailer on a pontoon. We had an absolutely great time out on the water on our first day of this boat rental. It's getting late in the afternoon and it's time to head back. Kick back and relax with us for a few more minutes as we head out of the Lake of the Isles and back around and get closer to where we have to return the boat. There's only a couple minutes left of this video, but our route back to the marina takes us past some pretty beautiful places. Like this stunner of a boat next to its little tiny house, complete with its own little waterfall. I had to stop and take a picture of this because I just think, wow, these guys got it going on. As we continue to make our way back to the marina, we pass by the crown jewel of the Thousand Islands, and that's Bolt Castle. There's a lovely story that goes with this castle. George C. Bolt started building it in 1900 for his wife, who unfortunately passed away from consumption before the castle was ever done. George then walked away from the project, never to build on it again. Many, many years later, the Thousand Islands Bridge Authority would purchase this property and the castle, and they would use it as a tourist attraction, taking the funds that they raised, putting it back into the castle to finish the project. And now boats come in and out of this island all day long. If you've never been to the area, I certainly suggest jumping on a tour boat, zipping over to Bolt Castle, and checking it out. Just across from Bolt Castle and Hart Island, you'll find the town of Alexandria Bay, or Alex Bay as the locals call it. The town itself has a population of around 1,100 people. But don't let that fool you. During tourist season, this place fills up pretty good. There's lots of little shops, there's restaurants, there's hotels, there's marinas, there's access to launch your boat. And this is where Uncle Sam, one of the larger tour boat operators, docks their boats. You can purchase tickets right at the end of the pier. And depending on which tour you choose, you're either going over to the castle or you're taking a long tour around the islands. The St. Lawrence River is an international border between the United States and Canada, so it is heavily patrolled between the Sheriff's Department, the Coast Guard, and Border Patrol. Although the river is inherently safe, it is boating, and there are risks associated being out on the water, especially with the shoals and everything else that goes along with boating.
National Charity Poker Run in Clayton has died following a boating accident.
Hey, that's from Garzel, this big boat up here.
Where? Which one? Sure
just
is.
behind this one.
As we finally approach the end of this video, if anybody recognizes the style, the brand, the make, the model of this particular boat, let me know. I think it's visually appealing, and I'd love to learn more about the boat. We're just now rounding the corner into the marina where we rented the boat. We rented the boat from Wesley Island Boat Rentals. If you're in the market to rent a boat, make sure you check these guys out if you're visiting the area. Bunch of great guys, took good care of us. We're going to come back tomorrow and rent the boat again. So there is going to be a part 2 to this video, but today, it's a wrap. We're heading back over the bridge. We're going to grab something to eat, and we'll see you back in the next video. If you made it this far, give yourselves a thumbs up. You certainly earned it, and we certainly appreciate you being here.